Good morning and welcome to Rose Red Homestead, where today we are going to be finishing up our series of videos. This will be number 7 on cheese making with powdered milk, using powdered milk. And we're going to close out with, we hope, is a great video, and that will be on making mozzarella. And when we're done, we should be able to grate it, we should be able to slice it, we should be able to melt it, and we're going to do all of those tests on it once we get it done. I have had 3 fails on this, and they were big fails because it takes a gallon of milk each time. But thankfully I learned, and hopefully the reason we're doing this is so that I can make the mistakes and save you from doing the same thing. And I hope this will be the case with this mozzarella cheese. Now we need a couple of extra ingredients that we have not yet worked with, but are very important. And that was one of the things I think that was really affecting my fails. First of all, we're going to need some citric acid. This is the same acid that you find in citrus, in lemon peel, in orange peel, and it is just in a solid form. It looks a lot like salt. So we'll need to get some of this. And then the next thing that we're going to get is some rennet. Now I've used vegetable rennet 2 times strength here, and it is from I forgot. I got this on Amazon. Know-How Foods. Now, one of the mistakes that I made was the recipes that I used, and I tried a number of recipes online, just called for rennet, and it did not specify. So we got this junket rennet, and actually I think it's junk. Well, it's just not powerful enough. You have to use 4 to 8 times as much as any recipe calls for, and even then it's very iffy. Now on my last trial, which was also a semi-fail, I used 8 times, or 7 times actually, what that recipe called for of this junket rennet. Did not do a thing. And so then I got out my vegetable rennet that this is regular cheese making rennet. And I used just 1/4 teaspoon, added it into the mix, and it set it up just fine. But I still had the junket in there, and so I think it affected the outcome. So today, I have not had a total success, I've had an almost success, but today I think I have all of the pieces, so I think that we will be able to be successful. With this particular recipe, we need to treat the curds with a lot of tender care. We don't want to disturb them too much. And it's very different when we have finished with the heating part and then we've added the citric acid and the rennet both. We let it sit for a little while and it develops a very deep curd that is circular because the pan is circular. So the whole top layer is one great big giant curd if we've done it right. The first time I got that to happen was the one we did yesterday, the most latest one. Otherwise, it just looked like a whole bunch of cottage cheese the way our other ones have done. So here's our board. This is what we have done so far on the cultured side and on the curd side. Mozzarella is going to be on the curd side. We're not adding any kind of a bacteria culture to it. We're only going to be using the acid and the rennet, and so it goes on this side. And it's really a lot of fun to do. Yesterday's trial was the first time I got it to stretch like taffy. We'll be pulling it just like taffy if it works. So here we go. The recipe calls for 1.5 teaspoons of citric acid. And I'm just going to do 3 quick 1/2 teaspoons because I can dip them right in the bottle. And those are to be dissolved in 1 cup of chlorine-free water. So I'm going to get filtered water from the refrigerator. And then into another bowl, we are going to add 1/4 cup of rennet. And you can buy regular cheese making rennet in tablet form or, as I have done, in this liquid form. So we're going to use a 1/4 of a teaspoon, and the general recipe is 1/4 of a teaspoon in 1/4 of a cup of water. So I'm going to get 1/4 of a cup of water, and that's per gallon. So here's our water, and 1/4 of a teaspoon is right here. And you can use either vegetable or animal rennet on this, or the dried. But make sure it's regular cheese-making rennet and not junket. And so that will dissipate throughout that water. We'll set that aside. Now, about half an hour ago, I mixed up 1 gallon of milk from this powdered milk. This powdered milk is now 20 years old, so we've had it on our shelf for a really, really long time. We had to get a new can out yesterday because I used all the previous can in all of my trials that I've been doing with this series of videos. And so this was from just a freshly opened can, and it is 1 gallon made up according to the regular recipe. It contains no extra powder. So you can use any milk for this. You can use regular whole milk, or you can use 2%. You can use skim milk. We're using skim milk, but it is powdered skim milk. One of the recipes even called for an addition of a half pint of cream. So there are lots of different variations. I'm just sticking with the powdered milk because that's what we are mimicking here, as if the grid were down, grocery stores closed up, and the lack of availability of fresh milk unless you have your own cow. So the instructions say for us to, with the citric acid, and pour it right into the pot. So that is what we are going to do. And then from that step, we move on to just add the 1 gallon of milk. Whoop, and don't spill it. So now we are to stir this vigorously while it is heating up to 90 degrees. So we're mixing the milk with the citric acid, stirring vigorously. So we have 78 degrees, and this usually goes pretty fast. And we are at 90. So now we remove this from the heat. And while stirring up and down, and I use my potato masher for stirring up and down, we slowly add the rennet solution. And we count to 30. 1 and 2 and 3, 6, 27, 28, 29, 30. And we cover it. This is a little insulated towel, because this doesn't have a lid. And we wait for 5 minutes. So we'll be back in 5 minutes, at which time we hope that great big round curd has formed on the top. So we will see you soon. All right, we got it. It's amazing what happens when you work with the correct ingredients. So here we are. I just took that cover off, and now you can see that it's gelled, kind of like custard. That's exactly what we want. So now I'm going to cut those curds in a grid pattern. And I go all the way to the bottom of the pan. All right, and then we're going to put it back up on the stove and heat until it is now 105 degrees. And we have to stir gently, and the curds are going to come apart a little bit, and that's okay. We just needed to break them up. And we're done. So we're going to take it off the heat, and we need to firm up these curds just a little bit. So I'm going to continue to stir very carefully. Treat these with a great deal of gentleness. We're moving them through the heated whey in order to firm them up. So we'll do this for a couple of minutes and then we'll be back. All right, now we are going to capture the curds and get them into this microwave-safe bowl. Now, if you do not have a microwave, you can do what I'm going to be doing in the microwave using a hot water bath. Now, this is lovely whey. We can use that when making bread or soups or stews or anything. Now, obviously, this is still pretty covered, pretty full of whey, so I'm just going to use my hand as a strainer and drain it into the sink.
You've got lots of roses in there, but...
And thank you for the roses, honey. Okay.
That was a difficult stretch.
There's still a lot of whey. How's this better?
Yeah, that's better.
With the exception that I dropped some. All right, now this is going to go into the microwave for 1 minute. All right, you've seen it's now swimming in whey, and I've put on some just very light rubber gloves. It's kind of congealed into a single mass here, but I want to drain off that whey. And in fact, I'm just kind of going to wring it out a little bit with my hands.
Just like a wash rag.
And it's very stretchy. Now, we're going to put it back in the microwave. I want to get it up to 135 degrees. It's 111 right now, so that we can really stretch it. And I'm going to do that in 30-second intervals. That's almost there. Okay, so now I'm just going to pull it and stretch it just like taffy. And it's hot. Wring it, stretch it, and it's now getting too hot to stretch. It's getting too cold to stretch, so I'm going to dump this and heat it again for 30 seconds. More whey. Oh. Whew. And you can see that it's looking like taffy. Oh, hot, hot, hot. And we just stretch it a little bit until it should be smooth and shiny. I'm tucking in the underside of it. And there's our mozzarella. Now, you can add salt anytime. I kind of forgot to add it when I usually do it, but I'm just going to do that now. And I'm going to put in about a teaspoon of salt and work that in as I'm stretching. And I'm just going to heat it a little bit one more time. That was 15 seconds. And I just want to stretch it some more. Get that salt mixed in. Now I'm going to fill this bowl with cold water, and I'm going to put a little ice in that. Now you don't have to do that. You can just let it cool down naturally and put it in your refrigerator. You can, at this point in time, you can cover it with olive oil and herbs and do a little bit of a soak in that olive oil and herbs for some more taste. But I just want to show you the texture and that it grates. So I'm in a little bit of a hurry to get this cooled down enough that we can do that. So we'll see if we can right now. So there is the mozzarella. I'm just going to take a little bite of it. Once again, it is not going to taste exactly like what you find in the stores, but it's going to be close-ish. And the texture is there. It's a little bit rubbery the way mozzarella is, and it melts beautifully. I'm going to show you that in just a minute. It will grate. This is still a little bit warm, so it's not going to grate very easily. So here is my box grater, and it's not going to grate easily because it's still quite... I need to take these gloves off. I'm going to grate them into it. But you can see that once it cools down, it just grates exactly like grated cheese. And so you can have little grates like that. Now I'm going to check the melting capacity of it. Now while this really is not the type of cheese that you would use for nachos, nevertheless I'm going to cut it some slices. And we'll put these in the microwave and melt them, and I'll show that to you. So here it is all melted. If this isn't exciting, and it pulls just like mozzarella does. Yum! I would sprinkle these with salsa, but it's nice and melty. Has a fine flavor. So here we have it, success. Don't forget that this recipe, along with all of the remaining recipes for all the cheese that we have done, are now up on the website under recipes, under cheesemaking-recipes.final. So the final copy of this recipe packet will include every single recipe. And now we can make mozzarella if all we have is powdered milk and the other two items that are added to our food storage, the 2 times rennet and the citric acid. So that's an easy thing to prepare for the long term. I am very pleased with the series that we have done. We have lots of positive comments on it. It was very, very helpful to many people. Lots of people have had powdered milk in their storage cabinets for a really long time. And this gives an option to be able to use it in a way that is very productive and very tasty. So I have added mozzarella to our list. Our list is now complete. So thanks for being with us throughout this entire video series. It is now one of our playlists called Powdered Milk. All 7 videos will be listed there. So thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you soon for another video.